I told you a few seconds ago, is there a tidbit, a story, a little something that the world doesn't know about Laura Fancy Sanko?
I wanted to like come up with some really great inspirational anecdote because I find your podcast to be very inspiration based, and I love that. But I struggled to find that, and so literally all I landed on is I can turn both of my feet completely backwards.
Really?
Which is
Wait.
so gross and not at all inspiring.
Did like kind of like the dancers do? Or like completely backwards?
Just imagine like as long as there's enough, it's hard for me to do on a slippery floor, like on a wood floor if I have socks on. But if I have shoes on, like I can stand there and like turn my feet completely backwards. It's gross. It's really gross. But it also means I cannot be heel hooked, at least in that direction.
Oh. I guess
don't tell the people I compete against.
But I want to kind of take you back in a chronological sense. A young Jay Critch. At that time, you're Jason Critchlow.
Yeah.
Or are you going by Jay Critch from an early age?
I'm just going by Jay at this time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And what was there? I mean, your whole life, did you know you were going to go into the rap game? Was that the dream?
I kind of always knew, like from when I was young, like I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I just didn't know like how realistic or like, you know, how it was gonna happen really. But I just kept like working at it. I just always kept it as a thing I was doing, like whether I was gonna make it my main focus or not, I was just always doing it. Like.
And what was the first age that you were able to, you know, get in front of a mic and start rapping and feel like this is the direction I need to go?
I was probably like 15. I made a song called Mozzie with my boy Sparks. He had like a studio in Brooklyn in Flatbush. I used to go over there and record. It's like a basement studio, fire. And then we used to just cook up everything in there. And then once I made this one song, Mozzie in particular, like that was like the first one, like all my friends was really playing around me and my neighborhood is playing in, like that's what really, like everybody started telling me to keep making songs and stuff. And that's when I just really started going harder.
Now, and Paradigm is probably that and First Round are the two biggest. Right? I mean, what's Connor, Izzy, who else?
Connor, Izzy, Cyborg. You got Leon Edwards. Who's the guy that just fought?
The Leech.
The Leech just fought. To represent him.
Did you watch that card yesterday?
Dude, it was wild.
Come on, Holloway.
Dude, Holloway was on some next level shit.
I thought that was honestly the single greatest performance in UFC history.
Dude, it was wild. It's like there was no denying him. He's like, and the fact that people were saying that he was gonna lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, nah, man. The fact that he was talking
to DC and
he was like, whoop, 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 whoop. I'm like, Jesus, man, that was wild.
That was unbelievable. I mean, he just looked like unstoppable. He looked like the best featherweight in the world.
Dude, like that got me even more fired up to come back and fight. Yeah, it was like, damn.
What's that like when you're watching it and you're watching on the couch and you're just like relaxing, watching little fights and you see that kind of shit?
Dude, it gets you hyped. You know what got me to be like, dude, I got to get back into training as fast as I can. This was a fight because I fought Dan Ige like a while back. You know, he was my first fight in the UFC. Right. And the fact that he was in a main event against Cater. And I was like, damn, bro, it's like, that should be fucking me up there. It's like, that should be me. I mean, even though I'm dropping 35 now, but I'm just like, dude, I can't keep sitting here. I gotta get back to training. I gotta get back to freaking doing what I was always doing. Get back to the basics, the roots, no distractions, no nothing. Like just focus on what you want. And I'm like,
and I think also what's even more impressive with you too is like, you look at your record, you got the 2 losses to Kelleher, and then 2 splits, which easily could have gone your way, right? Yeah. So it's like you really haven't dropped many rounds in the UFC, you know. And then you got injured, so you know out for a little. But like you're young, you feel good now. You're
man.
I mean, the sky. I truly believe. I mean, obviously, I'm always rooting for you on another level, but like I truly think the sky is the limit. No.
Yeah, man. It's like now coming back. Even my coach Tiger, he was talking. He's like, dude, it's like I'm happy that you're back. Fine, you're gonna drop 35. It's like let's like just get your mind up, man. Get yourself just focused and just. It's like it's like I'm glad to see like the hunger and the fire back in you. I'm like, like, yeah, it's like this time off and after the surgery, like during the surgery, after the surgery, and just the healing up, it's like it kind of reignites the fire. Right. Like some people have been fine for a while. Sometimes it starts to get like in a way, it kind of I wouldn't say it gets boring, but it gets like
repetitive.
Repetitive.
Yeah.
And during that time off, it like reignites your fire. You're like, it's like, yo, I beat that dude. It's like, fuck, man, I gotta get back in there, man. It's like, let's do it, man. Let's freaking do it. So it got me. It just like, it reignited like the whole my fire behind it. It made me just want to fight more. It made me want more because it was taken away from me.
Right.
So.
And do you do any other kind of, I mean, I know some people have like sports psychologists and stuff like that. Do you have a sports psychologist or anyone you talk to about that?
I talked to, his name is Greg, and I'm not sure I'm going to butcher his last name. Greg Shadok. Greg, don't come at me for this, man. But I've been talking to him. The moment I knew I was going to get surgery, I actually started talking to him because, I wanted to, maybe it's like, in a way, it's kind of like unlock something that maybe in my mind is like holding me back or that I can do better. I was also like, I was pretty nervous about surgery because this was my first major surgery. Right. So, like I was nervous about that. Then, of course, it's like, damn, I'm going to get surgery. I'm going to be on the shelf. I'm going to be feeling like this. And, just talking to him and just really just looking at different perspectives. And, dude, he was a great help during this.
What are some of those, I mean, without telling everything, obviously, but like, what are some of those conversations like? Like, what did you feel like you were exactly like trying to unlock, if you will, or get past or over, or, if it was a fear? I mean,
that's, I guess everybody's different. Part of me was just like, even like something simple. It's like, look, when you go fight, it's like, why are you waiting so long to get yourself started? Is there something that like in the fight, there's something that you might be afraid of? Is there something that you're just not letting out because it's like for whatever reason, and just really seeing, trying to like, it's kind of like you're opening a door to see. It's like, okay, in this time during my life, it's like, what is it that held me back? Yeah. What is it that I could have done better? Okay, why did this happen? Or like, if a situation that was happening, like even like during surgery, why was I feeling this way? My decision to go to 35, and just like hitting every aspect of it, because we don't realize, man. It's like, at first, when I was like, man, should I even talk to somebody? You're like, man, I feel like I was. It's like you have like that kind of mindset. It's like, I don't need to talk to anybody. But then you realize it's like, wow, man, like he's super helpful about it. Right. And it changed a lot of perspectives, even like in the way I train. It's like, there was points in my training where I was set in my ways. Okay. So meaning it's like, I was like, nah, like this is the way it's done. Like that's the way it's done. But now it's like, all right, like let me add that to what I'm doing. Like you start kind of
maturing. Yeah,
you start maturing. You start like turning into like like when little kids, like they're sponges, so they absorb all the knowledge that you give them. And it's like I went back to that. I went back to, people say like empty your cup. I'm like, no, I drank my cup. I want to refill, and I want that refill with new stuff to implement. And I just kept doing that. I just kept drinking my cup of water each time and just kept absorbing more knowledge. And it's been great. It's like I'll take everything. It's like if somebody gives me like an advice of something, people tend to kind of look at it as like, whatever. Or I was like, all right, like maybe that's a detail that I knew, maybe I forgot about it. I'm like, thanks for that. It's like thank you for that. Like if they notice something, like if my teammates was like, dude, you're doing this with your hand, I'm like, thanks, man. It's like I wasn't, I thought I was doing it, but maybe I wasn't. But it's like, thank you. So it's like more like a more open-minded to just like even like coaching and just like sometimes, you know, we feel like we're set in our ways. So in a way, and then you feel like you're stuck, but you're not willing to make that change. I was like, nah, man, like, let's add this and that. Let's add this and that. My coach is like, we're going to do this more with you so you can improve on that. Everything else is going to keep getting better as you go, but let's focus on this. Let's focus on that. And I was just like, all right, let's do it.
You know, I mean, now you're about to be 23. You were if you're at BMCC your freshman year, you're about 19. And I mean, that's got to be a lot of attention for a 19-year-old. Did you feel like you were ready for it? Did you feel like it was a lot to handle at once?
In terms of the attention and stuff, like, yeah, I was ready for it, because, like, I don't know, that I wasn't really too focused on. But just in terms of like the other stuff, like, you know, managing money and all of that, is like you got to teach yourself that stuff if nobody ever taught you. So that I just had to learn all that stuff on my own, really.
Was that, I mean, do you mind just talking like quickly, like what your first learning experience on how to manage money? Because especially you at the time, you know, if you're a big star or getting to be a big star, you're starting to see money you probably never saw in your life before.
Exactly. And then you still young. One, you're young. Two, you never seen that type of money, so you think certain amounts of money is a lot of money. Is not. But then also, that quickly shows you, like, okay, what I used to think is a lot of money is not a lot, you know what I mean? So you just gotta learn how to manage your shit. Like, it's just because, I was never used to even having all that. So once it came, I just, you know, I had my little splurge phase. Everybody goes through it. But yeah, I'm older now, I'm good.
What was the first big splurge that?
Probably when I went to get my chains at Aviani, where I spent some shit at one time. Probably, yeah.
How much you spend?
I think I dropped, like, on both of my pieces plus the other shit, I think I dropped like 40. All right.
Now, how old were you when you did Barclays for the first time?
I think I was 20.
Fuck.
I think I was 20 or 21.
You never felt like the moment was too big, though?
Nah, it felt like it was the perfect moment. It felt like it was the perfect time. Like, it was just a matter of time.
What was it like when, I mean, especially as a Brooklyn, you know, someone who grew up in Brooklyn your whole life, to do Barclays Center?
Felt crazy.
What's it like when you're looking at, I mean, so it was Tidal, right? That was the first time you did Barclays?
That was Tidal, and then the first, like, arena I did was MSG on Yams Day. That shit was crazy too. Like, but both times it just felt crazy being in like an arena like that, really seeing people like all the way up there looking like ants. Like, that's the craziest place to perform, like an arena like that. The energy is crazy.
Do you have any other dreams of other stadiums that are on your mind?
Stadium. We need that Super Bowl performance, man.
Oh, is that what's coming?
It's coming one day, for sure.
What'd you think about the weekends?
Yeah, it was creative. It's different. Everybody's saying, but, you know, I'm gonna give him.
Come on, J-Lo and Shakira were way better.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna just give him his props, man. I fuck with EXO. That's my guys. Sal and them, man, they did their thing. It was definitely different, though. It was definitely different. I wouldn't have did it, but he did his thing.
Now, for you, take me a little bit through your kind of your musical process, if you will. Like, from the second that, you know, you create a song to the second you release it, how's it go? Because I know it's different for every artist.
LaRon, my producer, or whatever producer I'm working with, pulls up a beat. They just start playing beats, like, in the studio. Once I like catch a beat that I'm feeling at the moment, I pull it up, and then I just record, like, line by line until the song is done. I just record, like, off the top of my head. I'll lay down one line, listen to it. All right, next line, until you go through the whole song, and then you have a full song.
And I mean, you know, more of the inspiration to your lyrics come from where? Mostly growing up?
Growing up, what I'm going through at the moment, how I'm feeling in the studio that day, what I might be wearing that day, like anything. It really could be anything, like who's next to me, you feel me? Like, it don't matter. I grab, like, inspiration from everything, but mostly what I'm feeling, like, in the moment, or like something that just happened or some shit.
And for you, I mean, do you feel like there are other different topics you want to cover in your music down the line?
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of ranges do you want to hit?
As I get older and, like, my fan base grows and becomes more strong, I'm gonna be on some more, like, putting people onto game type shit. Like I'm gonna switch it up and like I don't know, like it's hard to explain, but I wanna like find a way to in the music like put youngins on that might not know how to, you know, flip some money or something, like just say little things that they can actually do. Like, feel me? Like, cause people right now are going crazy on like the Robinhood app and all this, but no one in their songs say like, I invested blah blah in Robinhood and made whatever. Yeah. Like, but you can do that and it would sound hard, like shit like that. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit.
I love it. And so my other question with regards to motherhood is another moment that you talked about, another time that MMA saved you in a sense, and I think it was right after you became a mother. And I think that was, when I heard that story, I thought it was a beautiful story, just because you know, I have a mother. I will never be a mother, but I can imagine that a lot of women have gone through a lot of similar feelings, and so I just wanted to hear that story, and for the people that aren't familiar with that story, if you don't mind just resharing it quickly, because I think it's really a great one.
Yeah, you know, I think I would never call my son an accident. He's the best thing that's ever happened. And I was planning on having kids one day, and I was married. So like all of the things that you would like to be in place were certainly in place. But that being said, he was a bit of a surprise in that I was training for my next fight. And so when I got pregnant, it was like, oh, wow. You know, I had imagined my life, you know, I had won my pro debut, got the second round submission. Like I had a great amateur career. At that point, I think I ended up like 7-1 overall. So like I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. Like I can do this sport. Things are happening in MMA that make it exciting. Women are in the UFC now. Like I start to envision this path, and then I'm pregnant, and I thought, man, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to do this? And I knew I wanted to be a mom though. So I just sort of pivoted, and I always imagined I would come back to fighting. And when I realized how much that this little person needed me, you know, on a day-to-day basis, every day, all the time, literally needed me at first, you know, and then less literally moving on. It was really tough. It was really, really tough. I think part of it was just biological and chemical postpartum depression, but a big part of it was my identity got like snatched away from me when I was not expecting it. You know, I identified as an athlete, as an MMA fighter, as someone who potentially had the ability to go to the UFC and do big things. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know, dripping milk and fucking wearing my house coat and like my kids screaming, and I just want to go to Target in peace, you know. And like I just had a really hard time wrapping my mind around, is this my life, you know? And then again, it was like getting back in the gym and finding the resources to help watch my son and take care of my son, so I could have, even, you know, at first it was just like 3 hours a week where I could get back in the gym and feel like an athlete again, and feel like I could exercise that competitive side of myself again. So yeah, it's, you know, and obviously I never returned to fighting competitively, but I haven't left the gym for a long period since, and that's a long time ago. So I still love, I love training very, very much, and I'm in the gym all the time.
Do you ever have any, I guess, quote unquote, regrets about, also, I mean, you came up in a time and in a weight class that was so scarce. I mean, you talk about, you know, I think going through different chats to just try to find opponents. You know, you came up in a time where, you know, women's MMA only really got big not so long ago. And now, you know, it's beautiful when you see women headlining, I believe, pay-per-views. We've had a bunch of different ones. Sure. But what was that like for you to know that, okay, you know, I'm a mother, professional career might not happen the way I imagined it, but, you know, here I am. Like, what's going on through your head at that point in time?
There are definitely moments where I get that pang of, like, I wouldn't say it's regret, but just maybe a little bit bittersweet. So Paige Van Zandt and I debuted on the same card the same night. And there are times where I see her career and, you know, the success that she's had both in the octagon and obviously even more so success outside of the octagon. And I think, man, I wonder if that could have been me, you know. But by the same token, the UFC still doesn't have an atomweight class, and I'm not framed right to compete with strawweights. So it's like part of me wistfully wonders, but part of me feels like I am where I'm meant to be. The only thing I guess that's frustrating is like with the goals I have now to do commentary and to do more analysis, it's tough because I don't have 10 pro fights to, hey, look at my experience. You know, it's really difficult to have that instant credibility without that resume. And I think I've been able to do it in this other avenue in some ways, but I know that more is necessary. So really that's my goal right now, is to find avenues where I can exercise my analytical legs and kind of let people know that I do know what I'm talking about and I can analyze on the fly. And like, I really do understand the fight game, even though I wasn't able to participate in the UFC ever. And I wasn't able to participate professionally for a long time. That just wasn't an option in my weight class and given what was going on in my life. But I feel like over time I've been able to, through a variety of circumstances, gain the understanding from a lot of fighters, a lot of coaches at this point. If you were to ask, you know, a bunch of them, you know, does Laura know what she's like? Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. So I think that, I think it's just a matter of time, and I have to be patient. I have to do the work, more importantly.
No, I mean, it's pretty amazing. And also, I mean, for you going to a camp also, which I'm curious about during COVID, because martial arts is literally so contact, it's literally all contact. Has that affected your training in any way?
You know, and in a way, it's nerve-wracking because, like, seriously, with this virus, like, it's like that we can be fine and somehow still have it, and whatever it is what it is, but all my teammates and the coaches, like, we all were, you know, like, if we want to be able to train and keep doing what we're doing, be able to fight, especially since the UFC kept going with it, which is amazing what they did, then it's like we all have to make sure we're all watching each other. So it's like, in a way, like the entire team, they were like, yo, we got to all make sure that we are with the same people, everyone's clear. You know, we're getting tested on a regular basis.
Really? You guys have testing at the gym?
Yeah, we had somebody, you know, doing the swab test, the blood test, everything. So then at least if somebody was like, yo, you have it, it's like, all right, we know we can trace it back and we'll get our test. Like, so we were super diligent about that. And, you know, everyone's been able to train.
Wow. It's unbelievable.
So, you know,
yeah.
knock on wood, it's like, you know, we've all been healthy, everyone's good, and we're able to keep this going. But, you know, like martial artists, that's the whole point. You know, you don't quit. You find a way. You find a way to win at this. And just like our schools found a way to win at this and keep going, as fighters, we found a way to win at this and keep going. And it's just going about it right.
Were there a lot of positive tests when you guys training? And what I mean,
luckily no. And if there were, then it was like we all got tested immediately, but we will all make sure it like comes back negative.
Gotcha.
So like if somebody ended up testing positive, then we would have, you know, we're like, yo, you quarantine. It's like, who are you in contact with? So like we made sure that whoever we were training, the training partners that we had, we always kind of kept track of each other. It was like, so if they're like, okay, well, I rolled with this person, and let's say so-and-so came up positive. Okay, we're going to go get tested. We're not coming into the gym. Like, you know, we'll do our quarantine, whatever we have to do until we test negative, and then we're good to go. So we were, I said, we all held each other accountable, and we kept track of everything. You know, like I said, the temperature, we had somebody doing the swab test on us. Man, it's like, it's just nonstop, but it's what had to be done. So, and then like when, as you know, fighters, our teammates, you know, you go back to your regular families, it's like we limited ourselves to who we were around with and so on. So, look, we made it work, and here we are.
It's unbelievable, honestly. And so how many students do you have at your gym?
Right now, we have, I think almost like 300.
Wow. That's at just your gym?
Yeah, just ours.
Wow.
And, like, look, it took a bit of a hit because a lot of people, like, look, it's like everybody's, people lost their jobs, and people, COVID happened and it ruined a lot of things. Yeah. So, of course, look, we lost a certain amount of students, and our school took a hit. But you know what? I'm grateful that, like, even if these students that weren't able to continue, like, they're still around, they stay in communication, and the ones that stayed through it, I'm grateful for them because they stuck around. Like, they know. Right. So it's like everyone's supporting each other in a way, and seriously, it's like, it's amazing because, although the way I was talking about it with my instructor, his title is Shion. I never call him by his first name, but I'll call him by his first name today. Okay. It's Brian Godhoffer. Sorry, Shion. But anywho, it's like although we're not like huge in the community, but we impact the community that we in. Like, so like Tiger Showman's is like, it's a big organization, but each school is in a different section where they impact that community. So we have an impact in our community, and the fact that, like our students are our second family, and the fact, and I'm so thankful because it's like, they're like, yo, we want to be able to train. It's like we're going through this hard time, and I guess like the students that weren't able to continue is like, it's like, I'm like, I just hope you guys are all okay. Right. And the students that stuck around, it's like, yo, we're here to help. It's like, we don't want the doors to be closed down. Right. So it's like I'm grateful for these people because this second family, they were like, yo, we're supporting you. We're here for you guys. Just like you've been here for us on the mat, teaching. If we needed something, you were there for us. So it's like everyone's helping each other out. So it's been really unreal. It's like you also, COVID brought out like kind of the true colors in a lot of people too. So
do you feel like, I mean, some people that I have on, successful people, they never feel like they made it. Do you feel like you've made it yet, or do you still... No. You still feel like that young kid, or you feel like you've hit a level?
I feel like I'm at a level for sure.
What's the level?
I feel like I'm at a level where it's like I'm solidified in my city as one of the young, like one of the young artists that had a wave. Like even the other young artists that come up, they already know. Like once I reach out to them or we meet each other, they already know who I am, and like every time they already know. That just shows me like, you feel me? Like, we gotta be solidified in the city. Every artist coming up. Once we speak, they already in tune with me and like fuck with what I got going on. So shit like that just shows me like you at a level where everybody doing their thing knows in the city, like knows what you got going on. But I'm just trying to go a bunch more levels up. Feel me? But I know I'm at a good level. Like.
Do you ever miss not being famous?
Yeah.
Really? What are the times that you not miss being famous, or miss not being famous?
Like my friends could still go to certain places that I can't go.
Like where?
Like if it's it could be a party or something. Like oh, this girl's throwing her birthday party. Like I wouldn't just pull up to like shit that I used to pull up to anymore. But like just certain things, because I just know it's not gonna be the right vibe, the right surrounding. Like,
would you say you're still as happy as you used to be? I mean, are you happy with where you're at, both professionally and on a personal level as well?
Mm-hmm. I've been mad happy. I've been mad happy. Only thing about it is you get used to like how life is, like how life changed for you. So you just gotta remind yourself sometimes like what you came from to where you at now. That's what keeps you like happy and excited about this shit. Cause people forget, like people get to a certain level and forget that they came from this level and they went up there. You know what I mean? Once you forget that, then it's like shit becomes boring to you and you're not excited about it anymore. But like you gotta always remember you got to keep that same hunger and excitement you had about it before you got it. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like there was a moment, or maybe you haven't felt that yet, I don't know, that you made it, that this is, you know, and I think that what I notice in a lot of successful people is that they never really feel like they quote unquote made it. And you probably strike me as someone who, I hope, you know, is satisfied to an extent, but you'll never, you know, a lot of the top dogs always want a little bit more. Is there, how do you gauge that?
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like I've made it by any chance or any stretch of the imagination, because my goals are so far beyond where I am currently. But that being said, there's been some cool moments that I've looked back on. Like when I was working for Invicta, Dana came to one of the fights, and I didn't even know he was coming. It was like this last minute thing, because it was a time where Chris Cyborg was still fighting for Invicta, but the UFC was helping support her career in Invicta to help build her up. So Dana was interested in coming. The Fertitta brothers were there as well. And I didn't even know at the time, like, how big of a deal that was. I mean, I knew it was a big deal, but looking back, I didn't know how big of a deal that was. And my producer told me, he's like, hey, Dana's coming tonight. You should interview him. And this was like, the card has already started. Like, the fights are already underway. I'm already in the midst of doing post-fight interviews. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Yes, that would be amazing. Long story endless. They try to send me to go find him in between fights, and the cameraman's supposed to meet me there and have this interview. I find him. The cameraman is nowhere to be seen. And I don't have talk back on my mic. I have no way to communicate with the truck. And we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And now I know, like, you do not make Dana wait. You just don't. It's rude. He's got too much shit to do. He's a nice guy, but like, that is the biggest no-no in the UFC world. You do not make Dana wait. I made that poor man wait at least 8 minutes, which is an eternity.
Wow.
When you're just
That's a long time.
Oh, how are you? You know? But he was so gracious about it, and gracious to all the fans that were coming up to him. And after that interview, I said to him, I said, I want to work for you one day. I want to work in the UFC, and I want to be, you know, part of the UFC broadcast.
So you said that to him?
I said it right to him. And what's crazy is, like, I really hadn't planned on saying it. I didn't have like this big, I'm going to meet Dana, and then this is going to happen, and then I'm going to say this. Like,
what came about?
In that, this is going to sound so cheesy, but like, in that interview, I was like, I belong here. Like, I belong talking to this man. And I know I can do this, and I know I can do more of it. And I know I can do it at a higher level than I currently am. And so I just said it. And it was kind of brazen of me to say, especially considering I think that was like only my 5th Invicta show. Like, I just started talking on television. I didn't go to school for this, right? And then, you know, nothing happened for a while. Nothing.
Well, what was his reaction when you said that?
He was really kind about it. He's like, I'm trying to remember exactly how he phrased it. He said, it was a little bit of like a pat answer, you know. He's like, well, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep an eye on you, or something like that. You know, he was nice about it, but it wasn't like a, yes, I see star potential in you. Come work for me tomorrow. It was not that, you know, at all. But he was super nice about it. And I remember the next time that I interviewed him as a UFC employee, it was when they opened the PI. I was like part of their opening ceremony thing, and they were putting together like a corporate video. And so I interviewed him, and afterwards I was like, do you remember me? And he said, yeah, I do. I said, do you remember what I said to you? He said, yeah, I remember what you said. He said, welcome to the team. And I was like, ah.
I don't know, you know, I'm always curious to ask my guests, hopefully so many more years of long, healthy life, but do you ever think about legacy? Perhaps the Laura Sanko legacy, if you will?
Yeah. I do. And it's funny, because like, talking about all this stuff is in some way uncomfortable for me, because there's like part of my brain that I'm a big believer in, you know, the law of attraction and things like that. So there's part of my brain that's very comfortable saying out loud what I want, because I say it out loud on a regular basis just as an exercise. But there's the other part of my brain that knows that people will watch this or hear this and either laugh at it or not so much laugh at it, but like, I don't know, not see it the way that I see it, and think that I'm delusional for having that desire. And so it's like, it's hard. It's very, it feels very revealing to like put myself out there like this, but I'm appreciating you making me do it. 'Cause it's good for me to do. So the legacy, yeah, I mean, if I'm just being honest, I would like my legacy to be that I was the first woman in the UFC to become a well-known, well-respected voice, whether that's as a color commentator, as a desk analyst, in some other way, shape, or form. I see it as a color commentator, but I could see it taking other forms as well. And it's not to say that other women couldn't do what I'm trying to do. It's not that. It's not like I think I'm the best or the only one. I would like that to be my legacy, because I want there to be other women who do it after me, and who maybe even do it better or bigger or whatever. But like, I want to wedge my way in there as far as I possibly can, so that the girls who are coming up in MMA, who are growing up in it in a way that I never did, can then fill those shoes later.
I love it. Do you ever think about, I mean, obviously you're very young, but I'm always interested when I have a guest on to know if they're ever thinking about their legacy, or if they're thinking about, you know, Jay Critch as the musician, but also Jay Critch as the person. How do you hope, you know, people remember you? Obviously, hopefully many more years of healthy life.
I'm coming legendary, bro. Like, we need streets named after us, all type of shit. Like, by the time I'm done, I need like memorial things in Brooklyn, like the
statues. Where you want your statue?
Annual events and shit.
In front of Barclays?
Yeah, right there.
Right there.
Right there in front of Barclays. Gotta be. And it gotta be me like this.
Hood What do you want? What do you want the plaque to say?
Hood favorite. Jay Critch, hood favorite.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.